Hey guys, James O'Connor here. Today we're going to go through some footage from the second test in 2020 against the All Blacks at Eden Park. So what I want to talk about is, I guess, game management firstly, and then just sort of what I'm identifying and why I'm playing certain structures, etc. So I guess the big thing for me is counting numbers, when to attack, when to play open, when to play the blind side, and also a big thing being a 10 is when to go at the line, when to flatten up. What the little cues I'm reading from defense is whether to play flat and dig in and play at the back, or whether they're going to solve and jockey out and then you can sort of fade on the outside, or whether they're coming hard and you want to keep and maintain space on the outside to give your outside runners a bit more time and space. So it's a delicate process. I'm still learning, but I'll take you through sort of what I'm seeing. And I also, there's a clip of goal kicking, so I can talk you through my process, how I'm lining the ball, how I'm setting it up, and I guess my main thoughts that are going through the kick. We'll go from there. But here we are. So we'll split the field in half here. I've got some good gain line carry, and you can see there's quite a few of their players around the ball. So automatically, I'm looking in and I'm seeing so many guys at the ruck, so I know there's going to be space somewhere. And more often than not, if we've split the field coming from left to right, you're going to be sort of opening up on that open side. So what I'm seeing here, got good delivery from Whitey, and they've got two defenders here. I know we've got at least two or three on the outside. So a quick scan and I can see I've got three. So most defenses these days are either coming hard on a rush defense. If there's probably in this part of the field, if they've got three in that front line, they'd come hard. But because they're sort of under pressure here, they're going to start jockeying. As you can see, Richie's trying to create time and space so he can buy time for his inside defender, Artie, to get across, but also so the fullback can come through and join up on the outside through here. So what I'm doing is I'm spotting the cues. I can see they're jockeying here. So I'm going to dig into the line hard enough where I can commit their second last defender, but not too far where if they jam in here, Hunter won't be able to get the ball away. So I've got Artie to pull me, but I've also got the eyes of Richie, and that way it's created a two-man overlap. Good hands by Hunter there. Get the ball to the space. And now because we've dug in behind them, most teams are going to be scrambling. They may feel the field well, but from my point of view is the gaps now, we've got to play on top of them. We've got to pull them back in. We've got to make those the holes in the defence line tighter. So we play tight, get over the ad line again, suck another 2-3 defenders, play again on flat on top of them. Because we've got a nice little wide pass there, what I'm already seeing now is they got two guys on the ball. They've got three or four on that blind side. So I know there's going to be space on the open side. They're just numerically, they're going to be down a couple numbers. So now this far out from the line, it's my job to make sure that I'm not eating up too much time and space. Because as I said before, it's going to be on the open side there. So I'm literally just catching and shifting to one of my good ball runners. And Geordie does the rest from here. Skips out, creates some space on the outside, and then Marika finishes in the corner. So I think the big part for that one, I guess being a 10, for me is just identifying when to play flat and when to play early. As you can see in this clip, sort of I do both of them here. This one's pretty obvious because they do only have sort of 2-3 in that front line, and the fullback's slow to come across because he's been on the outside, and also this field position from about 40 out, he's going to have to be sitting a little bit deeper. So the way defenses work as well is so in your defensive half, so when the Wallabies are coming out from our sort of goal line, most fullbacks won't close and get to last until about halfway. So here this is right sort of on that borderline between closing and not. So there's going to be time to sort of play on top of them and get that extra pass away because the fullback has to cover that backfield to make sure we don't put a little grubber through and, we've got four guys chasing onto that. So it'd be tough to come out of that corner there, especially for a right footer. Just identifying when to play hard at the line and tuck in. And a thing I use, I think is very sort of helpful is getting the opposition's eyes. So making sure when I'm playing with the ball, I'm squaring up. I know the guy in front of me, the guy defending me, in this case, Artie, I know he's going to try and make that tackle on me, but my job is to try and get that next defender to even just, as soon as he looks me in the eyes, I know that at least I've bought my other attackers at least half a second to be able to create that little bit of doubt and space to get around them. And which in this scenario it worked here. Good hands, and got to the edge. And then, like I said before, it's just about identifying these short sides. They've got 3-4 guys already in a 5-meter channel. Now there's 5 or 6 inside that 15. There's got to be space on the outside there. So just letting that ball sing. Holding your feet and getting it to the guys who make the magic happen now. One in particular, Jody Pataya. All right, so if we go to this clip. So this one's come from counter-attack. The ball actually spills out. So the first thing I identify here is the ball's come from the left side. They've kicked to the middle. We've come back down this channel. I can see there's sort of 5-6 guys in that sort of short side. So for me, it's about splitting the field now. We've got to start, as one of my coaches talks about, the accordion, pulling him out to bring him in, to play flat, to get wide. So I'm trying to get the ball away from sort of that fumble now and just get it into one of our good ball carriers' hands a little bit wider. From this part of the field, from around sort of that 15, sort of 20 from a sideline, if you can get to their 7th defender, you know that next phase you're going to be able to swing around that corner hard and dig in and play at the line and try to create some space on the outside. Whereas if they man up and you can only get to around that 5th defender, that's when you have to start playing two-sided attack and maybe look for the halfback to scoot back the blind side, or I won't be able to dig into the line as much and I'll have to play a bit earlier. But if you see here, so I get wide enough away from the ruck, so we can also get, I think Nella takes a nice little outline and sucks up two of their defenders, but also cuts their fold. So now they should only have 3 or 4 on that open side. So that gives me the right to be able to come around the corner and play flat and really identify that 3rd defender and pull them out to bite on me. And as you can see there, it's exactly sort of what we practice for at training, is a little skip on the outside, but just getting that, trying to suck their tidies or their slow forwards into making a decision to pull themselves out of the line. As you can see here, he's made the decision to fly out of the line. I've squared him up. Wilson's run a really good short line, which has actually done probably more of a job than anything. I'm pulling, I think it is Sam Kane, closer to the ruck and into me, just creating space for Hunter on the outside. And then just the ability to be able to take that gap, which Hunter's done well here. So now this is when the fun happens. Obviously, we want to keep the ball alive and start playing through them. But as soon as you make a line break, the decisions as a 10 is either they've filled the field back and their spacings will be wide because they're threatened, and also they've had to turn around and we're coming on the ball flat. So it's either playing straight off 9 and getting through a seam, really tight at the ruck, or a little bit wider, even around that 3rd, 4th defender. Because if you can get to that 3rd, 4th defender from this part of the field, about 15 meters out, that's literally when you can cut and play open again. Whereas if they sort of solve out and maybe you only get to that 2nd defender, they'll have enough numbers to be able to jam and shut the gate there. And this scenario works perfectly for this situation. Lucan runs a nice little line over the ad line, sucks in 2 of their defenders, and because he's got wide enough, he split the field in 2 for me. They're threatened. They're outside backs in this sort of space of the field. There isn't enough of them to, whether they solve, whether they jockey or go hard, it's just going to be a decision for me. If they solve hard, I'll get the ball off Nick and dig into the line hard. But in this scenario, you can see they're coming hard, so Nick's hit Matty Phillip here, and I've just come around for a second touch to keep the ball alive. So by Matty Phillip by us, Nick playing Matty Phillip wider and Matt coming back against the grain, he's held those inside defenders so they can't solve off. Now he hits me and I can, it's a pretty simple decision from here. I can see Anton Leonard-Brown is sort of jockeying, trying to find, just trying to buy time for his inside defenders, but at the same time he's high enough where I can keep attacking the line and get it over his head. So then we just play to space there. One main point there is just Ned's width is crucial here. If we're any tighter, then that's when I'll have to go to the line harder. But because he's wide enough and flat enough, I've got Geordie running a nice line off the hip, which is keeping them engaged. It just makes it an easy decision for me. So Ned takes the ball flat, and well, we actually lose that one, but yeah, this is a good angle for it. If you watch what the defense does in this situation, so because Matty's caught it wide and comes back against the grain, it's at least held this defender here, but also it's given me time to be able to get outside 12. So now all I'm looking at here is I'm coming around the corner, and all I have to do is my eyes are only on Anton Leonard-Brown. And because we've got sort of two defenders here, he has to hold on hoops. It's a simple decision for me, and I can just play to that space out wider. So if we go back to this clip with a bit of speed, I can just summarize it. So I'm moving the ball away. So initially, there's been a fumble. So the first thing I'll be thinking is move the ball away from the space because there's a bit of chaos on the ground. But being able to get the ball wide enough so I can split the field in two. And because Nella runs a nice little outline, and I see coming around this corner, they've only got three defenders. I know I've got my center, I know I've got my back row, I know I've got my winger, and possibly you have the hooker sort of floating around. So I already know if I can get to that third last guy, we're going to have an overlap. So all I'm trying to do is bait them to sort of make a decision as an individual. And see, I actually haven't had to do sort of too much here. I've just flattened up enough for them to think that they can get to me here. As soon as one person falls out of the line, that is what creates the chaos, creates the weak link, and then you can play around that. So it's a really good line from Will. So he actually angles in hard enough where not only do we pull one man out of the line, but the second guy follows in, and he doesn't have time to sort of connect up with their winger. Just squaring up there, digging in, giving Hunter the time and space to get through the line. Once he does, it's all bets on, and we literally flatten up. So we've spread them, we've moved them wide like the accordion, we've played them tight again, we've got over the ad line, and now they're scrambling. So this is when you literally have to just speed, play on top of them, or play wide. As soon as I get a sniff of what their defense is doing, if they're threatened and they're going to jam, or if they're threatened and they're going to jockey, that's when I'll make my decision whether to play hard at the line in attack or whether to play wide, come back against it, and just get the ball to that space early, which we do in this scenario. So Whitey makes a good decision, plays on top of him, hits O'Connor on a nice wide line, cut the field in two. They're down two numbers. We keep the ball off the ground, keep it alive again. Matty Phillips squares up, and then it's just a simple decision for me to stay straight and square and play them on the outside there. Firstly, with this Adidas ball, the first thing I'd state anyway, it's very different than kicking the Gilbert. The sweet spot on it's a lot lower, so I've had to tilt the ball a lot further forward and on the angle to be able to, for me to be able to hit it in a higher place where I normally would. So where I'm lining it up, a lot of time when I practice, it's literally, I won't practice out wide here. I'll literally be in front of the post. I'll be sort of around those maybe 15 in is sort of as wide as I go, but I'll make the angles a lot narrower. So I'll kick maybe, instead of kicking from here, I'll do a lot of my kicking around sort of that part of the field. So that's a big circle there around that part of the field, but then also like a narrow angle sort of from around there. So yeah, my thought process is I've lined it up. I've given a little bit more tilt to allow for the sweet spot of this ball, and because I'm a right foot kicker, it's going to swing a little bit right to left if I hit it well. So I'm always aiming just right at that black dot there, and the further the kick, the more sort of I give myself leeway for that little curve of the ball to just slightly come back. So I've lined it up. I get my chest square. I find my 45-degree angle of where I am facing the ball. One tip I'll give is instead of coming at the ball directly, I tilt my chest to face the front of the ball. That way I'm not getting to the back of the ball and stopping my stride. It keeps the ball flat lower and allows you to kick more with your body. So I've got my 45-degree angle. Now so the thought process that goes through my mind is chest to the front of the ball, nice even stance, and all I'm doing is finding literally a spot in the crowd. For me right now, it'd probably be literally that little spot right there. That's where I'm focusing. So I'm sending the ball through that. Literally, I'm sending the ball through this all the way to that point. That's all my eyes are focusing on. I'm not thinking about kicking left, about missing it, about anything else but that little spot there and making sure I'm smothering that ball. So I'm staying on my toes. I've got my main thought. There's my eyes there. Just before I start my run up, I give a nice little smile just to remember it's all a game. It's all about playing, not taking it too seriously. I actually visualize my dog's face in the crowd now, which is a new thing sort of I've come up with just to as I'm kicking the ball in the park to him, and then I'm taking some. So now when I start my run up, I'm making sure my first step isn't planting. It's still semi on my toes, so I can get nice and steady and get a nice forward motion. And I'm building into that kick, keeping that 45-degree angle. But now at this stage, my eyes are firmly focused on literally the bottom. There'll be a little spot here. I normally find on the Gilbert ball, it's the T with the I face a little udder out. On the Adidas ball, I think it was the K in All Blacks, the letter K in the All Blacks. So my eyes are firmly focused just on that one point. I'm building in on my toes into the kick, nice and smoothly, making sure my chest and head are tall enough where I'm not going to sort of squash my leg swing, but over the ball enough where I can give it that nice low sort of flight and follow through. Then when I kick the ball, making sure I stay over it and my head's down until I finish my kick. Because as soon as if you come up too early, that's literally when when you can start swinging the ball to the left. If you keep your head over the ball, for at least one step until after you finish the kick, it allows your body weight to stay on that right side. So it allows your left shoulder to stay forward, and it counterbalances you so you can stay through your kick straight. And then it's all about the finish. So it was that one's not a bad strike actually. But yeah, so that's the process for me. It's about lining the ball up just right at the black dot, making sure I'm nice and tall before I start, reminding myself that it is a game. It is about having fun. It's about the enjoyment. It's not about it's pressure. The moment's on me. I got to make this kick. It's literally about done the practice. I know what I'm doing here. If I stick to my process, let's see what happens. And that allows me to almost enjoy it and have fun with that moment. And then just picking a particular person or maybe letter or some sort of landmark in the crowd that I can focus on and put my direction towards. So I'm literally I'm not aiming at a big target. I'm not aiming at the whole goalpost. That is sort of another good tip I'd give is instead of aiming at this hole, literally, instead of aiming at something this big, I'm aiming at a target that big, which makes sort of a big difference. It's a little game within the big game, as one of my old kicking coaches used to tell me. So I'm fixing a spot in the crowd that is going to stay there. So like I said, for me, it'd probably be that little point there. Visualizing I'm kicking to my dog in the backyard to that spot, and then it's just about that momentum, staying nice and light on my feet, nice tilt forward, coming to the front of the ball, and then my eyes, as soon as I start moving, my eyes are only focused solely on that little, whatever it is at the bottom of the ball, that bottom angle. My eyes focus on that, and I finish the kick. Very important to finish the kick. Don't look up too early to see if you've kicked it or not. Stay in your kick for as long as you can. That allows the ball to fly straighter. You'll be able to stay over your kick, and you'll be able to go straight towards the goalpost instead of falling off to the left if you're a right footer, or as a left footer falling off to the right. So yeah, there are my little. I hope you've enjoyed this insight. If I recap sort of the game flow sort of stuff, it's just about, for me as a 10, counting numbers. There's always going to be space somewhere. So in this modern game, a lot of the time kick spaces coming into a big play, because people are sending a lot more sort of players into that front line at the moment. Most teams are playing sort of with 2 fullbacks, but then 13 men flat in that front line, taking a lot of line speed, which is creating a lot more kick space. That little chip line around sort of the middle of the field, or opening up those wings for a kick over the top or across the field, or even like a long pass with that second ball player. But yeah, as a 10, what I'm looking for is cues in the defence, whether they're turning in and coming hard, and I can square up early and just play deep, or whether they're jockeying and you go to the line and you're looking for eyes, trying to get eye connection with the guy you're getting at. So I'd say a big focus, and I guess if you're trying to develop your game as a ball player, it's that ability to be able to lock on to the guy who's tackling you, but then also be able to scan out and try to catch the eyes of the next guy. If you can catch another defender's eyes, it's going to give the guy who they're meant to mark much more time and space to be able to make a decision, and also even possibly get on their outside and create a chink in their armour. So it's counting numbers, knowing what part of the field you're on, whether it's 5 metres out, 15 from the sideline, or in the straight bang in the middle of the field, knowing how many sort of numbers they should have across the defensive line to know how hard you should go at the line and where the space will be. But then also understanding the game plan of plan off 9, plan off 10, and when you should do those sorts of things. But that's for another time. Anyways, hope you enjoyed, and I will catch you guys soon.